Sup, you guys? Welcome to my video again. Okay. So, if you're wondering why I have my shirt off, it's sweltering hot right now, and I just got off of work. So now I'm just chilling here, and I was like looking at my videos from Pride this weekend, and I was thinking about the other day I was at Pride, and on Saturday when I went to the W and I tried to sneak in and that didn't really work out. Watch my last video if you don't know that story, but it just reminded me of a different story, the first time when I ever came to visit LA. So actually, if you don't know, I had wanted to move to LA since I was 17 years old. I had my mind set. Oh my god, those hummingbirds are so cute. And I had my mind set, I had my mind set on moving to LA since I was 17 years old. And I had never been here before. And I actually moved here about a year and a half ago, so I came here in January 2018. And the October before that was the first time that I ever came to visit. And I had another kind of like bad experience with the W Hotel then too, and this is so not anything to do with the W Hotel, like what they were doing, them kicking us out this weekend, that was them doing their job, so like props to them. That just means that they were doing their job right. But it just reminded me of when I got here the first time, and I actually came with one of my good friends from back home who we're going to call Jacob. And now Jacob and I decided to take this trip to LA, and it was relatively last minute. I know this is probably not last minute for a lot of you, but we decided to do this like a month or so in advance, and that's pretty last minute for me, because whenever I plan a trip, I plan it like months in advance typically, especially if it's going to be something that's going to be a long plane ride or relatively long. So if you don't know, I used to live on the East Coast. I lived in Providence, and I would typically fly out of either Providence or Boston. This time I was flying out of Boston, and from Boston to LA is about 6 hours, 5.5 hours, depends on tailwinds, all that jazz. But yeah, so I came here one time for a long weekend, and it was really fun. We got here, I got a car rental, and we were just like exploring LA and stuff. And so it got to the Saturday, I think it was, or maybe the Sunday, and this was Halloween, right? And Halloween is a pretty big deal here in LA, at least in West Hollywood. We weren't gonna go to West Hollywood though. I didn't even know that was such a big deal in West Hollywood. So we found this Halloween party at the rooftop in the W Hotel, and we stayed with the Airbnb that we were staying at was like 2 blocks away. It was really, really close. And so we got ready that night. We headed to the hotel. I was in a gladiator costume, and it looked really good, if I do say so myself. But Jacob had the keys. Jacob had to hold the keys to the Airbnb because I didn't have any pockets, because gladiators don't have pockets. And so he was holding onto the keys, and we got pretty drunk that night. We went to the W, had a good time. Come the end of the night, now for those of you who don't know, everything in LA closes at 2, and the real partying kind of happens like after that, outside of the bars and whatnot. But yeah, we didn't know anyone. We didn't know where to go after that. So anyway, we were beyond our limits. Anyway, I was ready to go home, and Jacob definitely was ready to go home too. So we left the hotel. I remember him being behind me, but then at one point I turned around and he wasn't there anymore. I didn't know where the hell he went. I tried to call him, but he wasn't, or he was answering his phone, but it was like impossible to tell him where to go. Because, first of all, I mean, this was my first time there too, but I thought to myself, how hard could it be to find our Airbnb that was a block and a half away, really, you know? So I just told myself, whatever, I'm just gonna meet him at home. I know I feel like a bad friend for doing that now, but I wasn't in the right state of mind anyway. I don't know where I was logically. I was locked out of this Airbnb for like an hour, and I was trying to get a hold of the Airbnb host, who was amazing, by the way. This guy was, he was so chill. And he wasn't answering, and I come to think of it, I was such a dick because it was like 3:30 in the morning, and I was just banging on the windows for them to like let me in, and he finally did. He let me in and stuff, and then when he opened the door, I apologized right away. I was like, I'm so sorry, that was so annoying, I shouldn't have done that, but I was just so ready for bed. And then at that point, yeah, I was just ready for bed. So I went upstairs, I just hit the sack so hard. I hit the sack so hard. I hit that bed so hard, I knocked out in like 2.5 seconds, and I typically take forever to fall asleep. But anyway, I woke up the next morning. I didn't know where Jacob was. And so I just slipped his real name out, so I'm gonna have to go back and edit that. But yeah, the next morning he woke me up and he was like, I lost my debit card and my ID and my phone. And I looked around and I lost my debit card and my ID and my phone also. So I was like, what happened? And then in my mind, I was like, there's no way that I lost my phone, because I had my phone on me. I remember calling the Airbnb host to try to let me in when I was locked out last night. And I remember being on the phone with, what name did I give him again? Wow, I am tripping out. What did I call him? I'm gonna call him something else. This is gonna be so inconsistent, but now I'm gonna call him Jacob. And so Jacob and I were trying to figure out what happened to our possessions. And so we went outside to the back patio, where I remember having, been the night before when I was calling the Airbnb host to let me in. And oh my god, then I looked over the porch and I realized that the rental car wasn't there. And so I was like, what? This is literally like a dude, where's my car moment. So I was like, where did the car go? What happened to the car? And they were trying to figure it out. They were like, are you sure you didn't drive it last night? I was like, no way. There's no way I drove last night. I remember explicitly getting here and knocking out as soon as I got into the bed. And so, in the process of trying to determine what happened to this car, the Airbnb host called the landlord to see if anybody had it towed, talked to the neighbors to see if anybody, saw anything. They get to talking, and then they start talking about how Jacob brought a young lady to the place the night prior. And apparently this young lady was selling her services on Hollywood Boulevard at 4:30 in the morning. And he unknowingly invited her into the Airbnb and used her services and decidedly did not pay for said services. So he went upstairs, stupidly left her alone, and she decided to take recompense in a different form. That's right. She took, I swear, I mean, I don't know if I can't prove that she took my phone, my ID, and my debit card, but I had them when I went to bed. And, you know, I'm pretty sure that she did. And not only did she take my things, she took his things, she took the key to the car, and she took that thing for a joyride. So, we had initially planned for that last day to be spent in Sequoia National Park, which is like 5 hours drive north from LA. But we were down for that. Like, I was so down for that. I love, you know, hiking and all that stuff, and I had always, because we don't have like national parks and stuff out east, so that would have been my first time. And yeah, instead of going to the national park that last day, we had to spend the day going back and forth between the car rental company and the LA Police Department to make this police report and all that jazz. And that was the last day that I was in LA. And then actually, I stayed in that Airbnb when I first came to LA as like my home. Hi. So that's the story of how I got my car stolen. Alright, well anyway, I know that was a little bit different than the style of videos that I've been doing recently. I'm trying to see what works for me and what doesn't and whatnot. I wanted to try something new, and I just thought about this story, and I think it was really fun, so I'm probably gonna do more videos like this. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, and I guess, yeah, subscribe, and I'm gonna look forward to more. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.